always sort of reflect that I seem to cover all ages and stages in my podcasts and in my books. And look, it's funny. I've had so much vast experience in autism spectrum. Sometimes I have to go, wow, Sue, you're now talking about teen years and beyond. But having been in autism spectrum and neurodiversity for over 30 years, I have had a vast range of experiences. And I also learn so much from our beautiful community, and I'm always learning new things. So this podcast is one for our teens and older. It came from a Facebook post where a mum reached out to me and said, I'm looking for groups or activities for my 23-year-old son on the spectrum could join. He's become very isolated and lonely as he struggles to form friendships, and we live in Canberra. So I put that on Facebook. We had over 300 comments. We had 228 reactions. This was went crazy. So I'm like, okay, our community need this. And I was reflecting, I went, well, no wonder. Some of the children I knew when they were 5, their parents were sending me their graduating high school photos at the end of last year. I bumped into a mum down the street whose son's now, got a job, and she first met me when he was in year 2. I constantly get emails from people where they're like, oh, Sue, I don't think we could have got through school without all your tips and guidance. Thank you so much. He's now graduated from uni. And I'm like, oh, no wonder I sort of cover all ages and stages, because I sort of grow with the children every year and get new ideas. So many of you might know that Anna Tullemans and I, who have written lots of books, we did the Red and Blue Teacher Assistant book, the Ultimate Guide to School and Home, the Essential Guide to Secondary. Well, the same thing happened with Anna, that many of the people she knew when they were younger and the families she supported had adults who were transitioning from home or transitioning post-school. So we wrote a book together called A Manual to Provide Support and Care for Adults with Autism Spectrum, because what we were finding, there was a lot of young people with NDIS, but their parents were finding it hard to sustain staff, or constantly feeling like they had to retrain staff. And so this book has stuff like individual supports, empowerment, community inclusion, capacity building, which is interesting because in one of the upcoming chats I have, that's what a couple of other mums are about for their young people moving for those teen years and beyond with social skills. But what came out of learning their social skills, and again, this happened when we turned off the podcast, is employment. And this is where we have to remember that if, like this mum who has a 23-year-old who's feeling lonely and isolated, many of our young people, they get socially anxious, and then it's hard for them to go and get a job, and then they become disconnected. So what was Roz shared after the podcast, I wanted to tell you. She said one of their young people, when they first started in the social skills group, or the With Friends initiative, which I love, and it's not a social skills group, you'll hear us talk about why it's not, but when they joined that initiative, at first didn't talk at all. Then Roz got her a job at her work, and she was very quiet, just came 2 hours a day. Now she's working part-time, and she said she owns her job like a boss, her confidence. She'll be saying to people, no, Roz is busy, can I help you? Amazing. So I think we have to remember that not only is it about connection and developing those social relationships and skills, and you'll hear in these 2 interviews a range of great opinions and ideas about that, but also realising that often social skills are an in to jobs. And if you watch Employable Me, which was on the ABC, and if you're out of Australia, you can Google it and watch it on YouTube, you'll see that the social anxiety to go for a job, think of yourself in a job interview, think of yourself in a new situation. Well, imagine you're neurodiverse and it's really confusing. So I think we need to really think about how do we make those social connections, but also make them small and achievable. We're not looking at necessarily a full-time job, but imagine if a young person could have a job a couple of days a week. And that is born from building social confidence and getting them connected to peers. And I also believe a lot of us get our first jobs through friends and family. So maybe by being connected in social groups, then they can actually build on that. So again, we had a lot of comments in the chat. Sorry, I went down a little job path, but I think that was worthwhile. So I highly recommend you have a look at the blog because we've put all the top rated ideas, but lots of people, apart from the two people you're going to hear me chat to about their programs, there is also other ideas. Would join a local chess club because they're a quiet environment, offers great new environment that fosters building relationships, and playing chess has those rules and so forth. Lots of people recommended a group called Stellar Experiences, who I'd never heard of, and so many people really rave them. I tried to get them on the podcast, but I didn't hear back. If anyone from there is listening, give me an email. I would love you to get on and talk about it. Lots of people were recommending sports and activities in the community. I couldn't agree more, but sometimes I find that you need really good emotional regulation, and a lot of those have winning and losing. But one of the things I've done over the years with a lot of my young people is get them doing the canteen or the barbecue or the goal umpire. You don't have to be on the pitch to be part of the game. And any of you who watch AFL will know, I'm trying to think which year it was, but many AFL clubs have neurodiverse people who are part of their support team. And I can't remember which year someone won the grand final. Someone's going to have to email me. And there was a young man with Down syndrome who was part of their club, and I love that. But there's a lot of diversity, and autism and neurodiversity is an invisible disability. But I have a lot of young people who are involved in clubs without being on the pitch. There's some other great recommendations about community centres in Canberra, because the question was about Canberra. The other one I couldn't agree more with, the Men's Shed, is awesome. Highly recommend, because there's mentoring. And one mum said her 16-year-old's been going since they were 14. So even if they're younger, look at the Men's Shed. I think that is an awesome, awesome option. Choir. Some of my children love singing and music and choir, a community band, finding what they're interested in, and even creating online friendships. And I agree, we can use online as a friendship, as a beginning, as a starting point. Mateship is another one that's recommended. Again, look at the posts. I'm just quickly looking at all of them. Oh, this one I didn't think of, but I think it's a brilliant idea. Park run. But again, you don't have to be a runner. They are always looking for volunteers. I know my kids did in high school. They had to do volunteering, and they volunteered at Parkrun, just giving out the bibs, ticking off names, putting out, directing people. This is a great way. And you don't have to run Parkrun, by the way. You can just walk it. So Parkrun is awesome. It's free, and it's 5Ks. If you don't know about it, they are everywhere. I also think Scouts, I agree, Girl Guides, Rovers. My ASD girl just joined Rovers at 23. One of my community said. Special Olympics, they have lots of different autistic athletes and neurodiversity. That would be an amazing community, and many of my students in the past have joined them. And also companies such as Ignition, have gaming, and Dice for Diversity offer great social connection with people on the spectrum. So it could be online as well as a first step. And again, that can lead to employment. So I'm super excited. I'm not saying it has to lead to employment, but I think many of our young people, if you watch Employable Me and even Love on the Spectrum, want social connection and want purpose. We all do. So there was one mum gardening, the local gardening community gardens. I must say, if I had more time, I've got a few projects when I retire. I hate to say that word, but when I move to something different, we have a community garden, and that is one thing I definitely want to get involved in. But what our community garden do, they collect all the cans and bottles and then recycle those to get money to buy the seeds. And I think going around collecting the bottles from the community would be a great activity for some of our young people. And then the other one, that if you live in Sydney, we need to get an All Abilities AFL team up here. That's on my list to do this year, but I've got a lot on my list. Victorians will know you have All Abilities AFL, and I actually was involved in setting up the girls AFL in Sydney, which is amazing because we now have like so many girls playing girls footy. I love it. I always get excited when I see all girls footy teams out there on the weekend and Auskick. So I feel that's the next step for the AFL. So anyone from the AFL listening, I am happy to get our community around All Abilities AFL in Sydney. I think it would be invaluable. And I know lots of kids who have been sitting on the sidelines because of their emotional regulation, because of the struggling with winning, losing, and I think we can do a lot around that. So stay tuned. I know I think I'm not going to sleep in 2023 because I've got so many things I want to do. But anyway, keep me honest, team. I'm sorry. I've waffled on. I'm sorry. Lots to share. So I have 2 interviews. So one is with Chris, who shares about her son's experience and why she now runs a thing called Peers Social Skills, and really how you go. That's actually I didn't realize it's for teens and post-school, and about her son's experience. And I just think she's got so much to offer, including like dealing with bullying and so many great ideas. We could have talked for 5 hours, but I've said we'll probably get it back on another podcast to share some other things. And then we have the amazing Canberra group, the Friends with Initiative, which is a social group for neurodivergent young adults in Canberra. And it is like, make sure you get on my blog and have a look at the photos of this amazing crew and their support crew and facilitators. I think this initiative should be rolled out in the whole of Australia. So I think it would be amazing because it's very community and organically grown. And imagine when you have a listen, if we could have this everywhere, particularly, regional areas. We could do this anywhere. So I've said to them, make sure you start to document so that you can share that with other people. So grab a cuppa. I hope you enjoy these conversations. I don't like to call them interviews because I'm not a journalist, but these conversations as much as I did. And even if you have a young child, I will think this will give you a lot of optimism about the options for your young people as they grow up, and just be interested in what's happening in the community and the range of amazing things that we have happening in our community. And I suppose if you're a parent listening, the amazing parents that are trailblazing before you, I get a bit teary. I got a bit teary in these podcasting chats. I'm in awe of really what is on offer, and also how we're really listening to our community, what they want, rather than us telling them what they need. And I love that. We're waiting for our young people to say, I want to learn this. And in both these cases, it's driven by the young people themselves saying, I want to learn these skills. And I just love that. So enjoy. Please let me know if there's any other topics that you would like on the podcast, or if you would like to come on and share something with the group. Please, I love hearing from us. It's not all about listening to me. I think it's lovely to hear other people's experiences and opinions. Hi everyone, welcome to the Sue Larkey podcast. As I always say, you have to embrace difference to make a difference. Let's dive into today's podcast. I am super excited to have Chris on the podcast to share her experience of social skills. She runs groups for adults or young adults aged 18 to 30, and is kindly offered to share with us today. So, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in doing this?
Sure. Hi, Sue. Thanks for letting me be on your program. So my course is actually for adolescents and for young adults. So we run groups for 13 to 17-year-olds. That's the adolescent group. And then 18 to 30-year-olds is the young adult group.
Great.
So, yeah. So I use the Peers program, which was developed at the University of California. And it was developed in their clinic, where they have a whole team of researchers that specifically put this program together for adolescents and young adults on the spectrum who want to learn social skills. And in the young adult group, we also teach dating as well. We do 4 weeks on dating.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing program. So we run over 16 weeks, and there's a key difference with this program. So I meet with the adolescents or the young adults once a week in a small group setting, and we go over one social skill a week. And it could be entering a conversation with someone you don't know. It could be hosting a get-together at home, being a good sport, all the things that adolescents and young adults, the things that can really get in the way of them having friends and making friends and keeping friends. So I have a small group session with the adolescent once a week, and I also have a small group session with the parents once a week.
Interesting.
It's specifically around teaching the parents how to be their adolescent or young adult social coach. So I always say to the parents, I'm only with your child once a week and you're with them all day, every day. So when you know what they're learning this week and you've been coached on how to give them good feedback and practice, they can practice with you all week long. And that, because practice is the key. It's like learning a new instrument or learning a new sport. Practice is really key. So the parent involvement is a key aspect of this program.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that, because really this podcast was this topic was born out of a parent's worry for their child. And I think this is so important when parents watch on with their young adults or their teens. And, teen years are tough. I know with my own child, a lot of coaching. I mean, I was always grateful with their driving that they'd have to be stuck in the car with you and you'd get to hear more issues they're having and talk through them. And even for myself, I found rules have changed around dating. Rules have changed around friendship because of social media.
Yes.
So I can imagine that sometimes parents themselves are anxious and that you can actually guide them through that. I love that.
Yeah, and for parents as well, I know, but both of my boys have autism, and when they were young, I'd take them to therapies and you'd drop them off and you'd wait for an hour and you'd drive away and you'd say, what happened? And they'd say, I don't know. And you'd do it the next week and do it again the next week. And I'd be thinking, where is this going?
Yeah.
So with the parents actively involved, they know exactly what their adolescent's learning this week. They're helping them practice. They're helping them arrange the get-togethers and do the homework. So each week they ring someone else in the group and practice what they've learned. So we're like, hi, it's Chris calling from the peers program. How was your weekend? That's good. How was yours? And they're practicing how to ask a follow-up question and keep the conversation going two-way and that kind of thing. And they're very much encouraged to stay in contact with each other, so they're practicing with each other. So having the parents involved is really key. And
I love that. I love it.
Years after, so, and that's how I got into the program. So a couple of years ago, my son came to me and he said, Mum, I need help with social skills. And I said, right, okay, let's see what there is. And I asked at the school, he'd just started high school. So I asked at the school and I said, well, what programs do you have? And they said, once you're in high school, there's a fair bit around early intervention and in primary. In high school, not much around. So I did the thing that a lot of the mums on your program would relate to, and I got online and did the mum thing and said, I will find something. So I searched and I researched everywhere, and I found this course out of University of California, and it sounded perfect for my son. And it was, I showed it to him. He said, yeah, I want to do it. And that's a key aspect of the program as well. I only work with motivated teens and young adults. So the mums wanting them to do it, or the dads, isn't enough. The teens need to want this. It's actually not ethical to sort of say, you need more friends. You need social skills. If the teen's saying, I'm fine with my single friend or no friends, then we can't really impose that on them. But because my son asked for it, I found this course and he did it online. And the difference for him was profound. So
Can you share? I'm so excited to hear.
Each week we were practicing it at home. We're doing the role play at home, and that was hilarious. So the whole family was, practicing, because we do teasing and bullying as well. So we were practicing teasing and bullying him, and he was, shutting us down as he'd been taught to do. It was amazing. But each week his teachers would say to me at school, the difference. He came up to me this morning and asked how my weekend was.
Oh.
So he was initiating conversations, making new friends. He started playing team sports that year, and he started, I live on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and he started surfing before school on a Friday morning with a group of kids. And
Stop it. I'm teary. Stop it.
This is someone who was able to do primary and only ever had a single friend. So he just got back from camp yesterday, just been back on school camp, and he had a great time, got a real circle of friends around him now. And I really can see that these skills are so teachable. They're actually teachable. And we take something that's quite a nebulous idea, like make more friends or be more social. And we break it down step by step. So it's taught in a way that's very rules-based, which we know is how adolescents and young adults, we like the rules. Give it to me in black and white. So, example, with the dating, 2 messages, that's all. 2 messages. Don't leave 10, just 2, and then you wait for them to come back to you. And they can understand that. Okay, don't leave more than 2 messages if they haven't responded. Because
sounds
actually,
to me, Chris, like you're adding logic to something that is illogical. And for us as parents and even as teachers, often it's so hard to know how to teach, but it sounds like because you've got this program from California that's been well researched, they've worked out how to make it logical and have those rules like 2 things. But I love the fact you're including bullying and teasing, because that is a huge one. And what you're talking about, that's my experience of when I worked in a high school, was really practicing that, but also finding out the language of the current teens, the sort of things they'll say, because there's no point me using the sort of words that they used in the 80s. I need to know the current, what's teasing, what's bullying, what the difference is, and the same, with all of these things. And I think that's why a lot of us as more mature people in this situation get anxious how to teach it, because we don't really know where to start or what to do. It feels a bit vague. Whereas I like the way you're breaking it down into clear steps. And it sounds to me, I mean, I might be wrong, but what happened with your son when he reached out to you, then you gave him sort of the confidence to have a go at these things one step at a time, rather than a big overwhelming, you need to make more friends, you need to, just let's do a little chunk at a time.
It is a chunk at a time. That's why we run over 16 weeks. It sounds long. It's 90 minutes a week with me, and then lots of practicing in between. So that was the benefit for him, that he was just learning 1 skill a week. It's too much. You can't a whole weekend workshop or something would be too much. So it's 1 skill a week, and then they master that, and each skill builds on the next. For example, in the first week, we just work on trading information. So that means that I say something and you say something and I say something, and then you're finding a common interest. And then, now you've got something to talk about. So, and we use that skill in every week after as well. Even, when we're then, looking at sources of friends and how to go make a friend and entering a conversation. But it's interesting when you talk about the bullying, because often what we teach in peers is what they call ecologically valid skills. That means these are the things that the cool people are doing already, The socially savvy people are already, doing this stuff. Because what we often say to our kids, and I've done it, isn't actually what we want them to do. For example, if there's a group of teens and my son's hovering nearby and he wants to join in, you say, go over and introduce yourself, okay? But my son's on the spectrum and he's very literal. So he will walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Cooper. I like Minecraft." It's like, okay, that's actually not what we do. So what we teach in peers is it's step by step. Stand nearby. Just listen first. Have a prop in your hand. It could be a phone or a coffee or whatever, or a book. So you're not staring at them, but just listen. Listen for the topic. Look for the body language. We do a lot of work on body language. So neurotypical people sometimes say different things than what we mean, but our body language is always true. So look for the body language. Are they breaking circle and gesturing you in? Are they making eye contact with you? Okay, maybe they want you to join the group. So if you walk over, listen to what's being said. Don't speak straight away. Just listening. Wait for a pause and then ask a question. Oh, is that the latest iPhone 12? Oh, cool. Look at what kind of camera's that got. So that's a much smoother entry than walk up and introduce yourself. We actually don't do that.
No.
And so teasing and bullying. So what we often say to kids is tell a teacher. We actually peers say don't tell a teacher. That's last resort stuff. Ignore it. They will ramp it up if you're ignoring it. Just ignore them or walk away. Walk away. They will follow you. So actually what we teach in peers is the opposite of all those things. And what we teach is what the cool kids are doing, which is shut it down. Just shut it down real fast. And you've got to have attitude. So we get them to come up with 3 phrases they're comfortable with that they can practice. And it could be, what do you care what kind of shoes I've got? What do you care? Why do you care so much? And they got to do it with attitude. And at first they're saying, what do you care? No, attitude, remember? Attitude, what do you care? Or tell me when to laugh, And it's very hard to keep coming back from that,
Exactly.
So that, shut it down and walk away.
And it's interesting you say that. I don't know if you've seen Brooks Gibbs, but he's like in America, like the number one guy around bullying at the moment. And that's exactly what he does with young adolescents. He gets them to like and just stand in the moment, be present, and this is with neurotypical kids. And he gets up on stage and videos, and he gets the kids to be as nasty as possible. And in the end, they walk off because he just keeps giving back really?
Exactly. You can teach this.
What do you know about hair? Seriously? Have you seen you looked in the mirror, mate? And it's when I watch it, I just find it so amusing. But it changes the power. And that's what he's about. Like giving when we say kids go to a teacher, we're taking the power away from them. I think we're actually putting it. So I love that. And I think we've tried all that other stuff and highly, as you say, like I've got kids who were taught just go and ask someone to play when they're younger. And they, past year one, you can't just go and ask someone to play. So what you're talking about is what I teach kids, which I call merging, which is how you merge into a group. And so I love that you're doing that. But when I know kids who just go up and ask to play and get rejected. And what it sounds to me, you're adding that confidence of not being rejected because you're giving them the skills, because there will be some parents listening that will be saying, my young person's not going to ask to do social skills. My guess is they might have when they're younger, but because they didn't get the skills, they've had rejection after rejection. So maybe we need to like have that conversation, because I have a lot of parents who'll be waiting, listening to you for their child to come in and go, Mum, can I learn social skills? Sometimes it's more subtle than that. It's
absolutely.
How come I don't have friends? What, so I couldn't agree more that we can't force social skills, but can I ask parents to look for more subtle, even the type of addictions they have? If they're addicted to texting on their phone, that's a cry for social interaction. If they're addicted to gaming, whereas something like YouTube is more escapism. So for me, I would be saying to the parents, look for more subtle, like why do you like texting your friends? Start to find out and build from there, because I have a lot of parents who it's their own fear sometimes that would go, oh, well, they haven't asked, I'll leave it. I think the quicker you get onto this, the better.
Yeah, for sure. And look, it's sometimes the adolescent themselves doesn't realise they need social skills, but they do know they don't have friends. Or I've spoken to a few mums this week who have said, because everyone's back at school, and a few mums are ringing me and saying, my daughter's social group has just rejected her this year. She doesn't know why. They've all said, we're not your friend anymore, and walked away. And I've had probably 3 or 4 different mums say that to me this week, and not just girls, boys as well. And it might be, my son was always played sport with this group, and they said we don't want to play with you anymore. And I often say to the mums, there'll be something that your child is doing, or could be, that they're not aware they're doing. For example, are they a good sport? And usually the mums go, I know what it's like. They might not be a good winner. They might not be a good loser. They might keep changing the rules because they want it to go their way. So we spend one whole week on being a good sport in peers. It's key. It might be that. It could be policing. So sometimes people ring me and say, my daughter's really, really smart, super great, academically, but she's not nailing it. Sometimes for those kids, policing's a problem. I know my son used to do that. Teachers used to say, Cooper be the first one to say you spelt that wrong, or that's not how you say that, or whatever. And he doesn't do that anymore. Because what we teach in peers is it's okay to say in your head that teacher spelt that wrong, or that's not, you've said that word wrong. But remember, our whole purpose here is to make and keep friends. So we don't have to say it out loud. And we actually watch perspective-taking videos. So we'll watch a video of someone, say, getting policed by a friend, and then we'll ask the question, perspective-taking. Do you think Mary still wants to hang out with Sue? After she told her, you say that wrong, that's not who's that. And they say, no. Okay, so then we watch a different video where they're not getting policed. Now do you think Mary wants to hang out with Sue again? Yes. I see. You don't have to police them all the time. So being corrected isn't fun. And when you're playing sport, someone trying to act like the referee when they're not the referee, so we actually teach all those skills. And being a good sport, that means being supportive, good try, good shot. Now they want to play with you. stick to the rules, don't cheat, things like that. So all these things are covered in peers because it's like you say, it's a very research-based. It's been around since 2004, actually, and it's been tweaked a number of times since then. So it's constantly been researched around what's relevant, what are the challenges these teenagers and young adults are having, and that's how the content is put together. So usually they'll say, oh, yeah, she does correct people a lot. Or, yeah, he hates losing. He's, he'll have a tantrum, And so then when the parents talk to the child and say, they might not think I need social skills, but they might know that their friendship group has abandoned them or rejected them. That they understand. Yeah. And they might not have any insight as to why. But it's usually something like that. And it's something that they can learn a skill in and they can change. And we spend 1 week as well on changing your reputation. We spend a whole week on that.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you've been known as the kid that has a meltdown, the kid who's always cranky, the kid who's a bad sport or whatever, and now you've learnt the skills, and we do that quite later on in the program, it's about week 13, I think. So you've learnt some skills and you've changed, but how do you change your reputation? Well, for a start, you say, I don't do that anymore. And even change your look a little bit, and just position yourself differently, hang out with some different kids, and then people will start realising, oh, you've shifted. Okay, I love play. And then you play a sport with them, and they're a good sport. They're very supportive. Now they want to play with you again. So,
I love that. This sounds like, Chris, this sounds absolutely fantastic. And it's interesting because what you're talking about is a lot what I do with younger children. And what you're doing is take, like, the videoing. I say to parents, like, watch a movie, watch a show that your child likes and point out the social skills in that. Point out you can it's so important, and I can see where parents knowing what's going on in the curriculum, if they're sitting down to watch a movie together, they can point out some perspective taking or some facial expression or some, there's a lot of characters in shows that change their reputation, but you'll be using the same language and pointing that out. And I find that's what's really important with a lot of my young people, to really relate it to what they know. So it sounds amazing. Well, I said we'll keep this short because I've got a few people sharing about their programs, but I have learned so much about the peers. I feel very inspired, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on, because I know it sounds like you're pretty busy helping and making a difference. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sue. I love that chat. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely lovely. I am so excited to have Roz and Hayley here today, who have a wonderful program that's running in Canberra. And this podcast came from me asking on Facebook from Mum, who's got a 23-year-old who was, looking for activities and not sure what to do. And Roz and Hayley responded and were like, we're doing some great things in Canberra. So I've invited them both on to share. And I haven't interviewed two people before, or chatted. I don't like to call it interview. Haven't had a chat. So we'll see how we go. So I don't know. Would one of you like to explain what your heart project is? Would one of you like to tell us a bit about it?
I can do that for you, Sue. It really is our heart project because we both get so much joy out of it. Primarily, we're looking at diverse young adults, and just making social programs for them so that they're less isolated, they're connected to their community, that they feel valued and welcomed and cherished. And at the same time, I guess there's some sort of sneaky capacity building in there as well. So that's really at the heart of the With Friends initiative and what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Hayley, did you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. Like, we could talk. I said Roz and I would be able to talk about this with our mouths full underwater. I guess this was born really organically from Roz seeing a need, not only recognizing a need in her own son, but seeing that there was many struggling with that. And it has just incredibly snowballed over the last 12 months. We've reached a really, wonderful group of people that have come in and put their trust in us, and they've sort of joined this community with us. So it's not just Roz and I, the people that we have reached over the last 12 months have helped sort of build this into something that we're now growing.
Which are the best programs, because it's purpose-driven. It's people saying we have a need, and you're meeting those needs where people are, at that where they're at and then building capacity, because I think that's where a lot of social skills or programs fall down. Because I mean, as Dean Beadle, I don't know if you've heard Dean speak, but he's in English and I normally get him out to Australia. He always goes, why would I want to turn up to a social skills group when that's my deficit? Like, who wants to join that club? But you guys are having like parties and escape rooms, and you're like, oh, if I said to Dean, do you want to go to an escape room? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? You know?
Absolutely. I think what we found, particularly with when I was looking at my own son, he's 21 and he's on the autism spectrum. For me, I'm still able to remember what I wanted to do when I was 21. And when I looked at a lot of social programs that were around, the 21-year-old me just went, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Very happy to go bowling once in a while, but did I want to go every single week as my sole source of having some fun? Did I always want to go to a restaurant with my parents? And did I only ever want to go on days away or a holiday with my parent? No. Loved them dearly, but when I was 21, I didn't want to do those things. I wanted to be with my friends. And I wanted to be doing age-appropriate things like having pizza and having a party and all of those good things. So at the end of the day, the young people that are involved in this are the real muses and the drivers for the whole thing. It's like, what do you want to do? And that's what they tell us they want to be doing. So,
I love it. I love it. What's been your favourite thing you've done so far, Hayley?
Can I say all of the above? All of the events have been wonderful, and I do genuinely get along with everybody in the crew that comes along, and they're also welcoming and supportive of each other. So I think for me, the best thing that I've got out of it is seeing them create those connections and build their capacity and their confidence within that space. We've had some young people, like Roz has touched on before, that they won't even speak to us in the beginning. A few times participating in some of our programs, and they're confident within the group and they're engaging. And there is a real need for it in our community. So there's not many social programs that are community based that cater to that age group cohort. And there's a lot of people that get aged out at the age of 18. So it's really rewarding to be able to now work in a space where we can provide those opportunities for young adults that are catered to their age and interests. But yeah, all of the above, every event, every participant, every parent that we've connected has been really, really rewarding. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. But I think, Roz, what you were saying, because I have a 21-year-old, so-called neurotypical, but I mean, 21-year-olds, let's face it, hope he doesn't listen, but their brains are at a different developmental stage.
Absolutely.
And I'm a very embarrassing person in his space right now. So we went to a 21st on the weekend and we were the only other parents there. And I could just see him going, I can't believe you're the only other parents here, and I wasn't upset because he shouldn't want us there. He's there with his friends having a good time. Yes. He doesn't want his mum handing around food at the party and sort of watching. So I think it's so respectful that you're saying, hey, how did I feel at 21? What did I want to be doing? And, I know that, internet and social connection is new to us, but I also know, talking to a lot of parents, that is their worry. Their children are on their devices and not making neurotypical and neurodiverse,
Yes, yeah. I have to just tell you a quick story, Sue. We have a bit of a joke in the background that while I'm sort of heavily involved in organising all of these social events, my own son obviously participates in all of them. He asks me 4 times a day on the day of the event, "You're not coming tonight, Mum, are you?" And it's a bit of a joke that, we started off by running these dinner parties. And he was just paranoid that I was going to stay. And it was like, well, no, I'll come and help set it up and I'll come back and clean it up. But no, I won't be there. And he still does that. So we actually almost need to factor that into what we're building is if Austin's there, I'm not there. And we just want to make them the facilitators are age appropriate. And yes. I do think most of our young people don't even know or care that the facilitators don't have a disability.
No.
They don't care. They're just who they hang out with.
And that's true for all things in life. I mean, it's just adding the diversity to the table, you know.
Absolutely.
I think that's so important, you know.
Yes.
To just because I'm a white female doesn't mean I only hang out with white females, you know.
Exactly.
So it's a really important to understand that diversity is just, and I think that's a big mistake schools often make. And I've seen it where they'll go, oh, well, we'll put 3 kids on the spectrum together, assuming they'll get along. Well, hello.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
actually often not the case, you know.
No. And it's that organically then learning how to connect, because that's what the facilitators do, is make sure that people are included in the conversation and that they're safe, not just physically but psychologically safe too, that you're not being left out, that your needs are being considered. But I think Hayley and I get the most excited is when the crew go away and they actually connect themselves. They will do a, hey, let's go and hang out together and do something. So it's almost, self-exiting, if that makes sense, that they go off and they learn how to conduct friendships, so that they're not just reliant on us running an event every month, that they've learnt that skill. But as you say, it's not come and learn how to do this. It's very much, you're just learning that as a part of having some fun.
Well, you're showing what's possible. That's what I'm hearing. You're showing these young people that it is possible to connect and have a good time. And, you know, I always say arm with the tools of understanding, and you're giving the young people the tools of understanding of what's possible and getting them to experience a range of things so they can go, well, I really like having pizza, or actually I like the escape room. And actually they changed the escape rooms. I mean, my kids would do an escape room once a month if they could afford it, you know, like it's isn't that great? You know, like I just think that's amazing. So how do you get the facilitators? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Are you happy for me to talk, Hayley? No,
of course.
You can sub me in. You know, we thought that was going to be difficult, but I've got to say, as the interest in the group has grown, again, we've had so many young people actually approach us and say, I want to be part of this. And that's actually, can I say, actually surprised me a little bit. I thought, oh, it's going to be hard and we're going to have to get a pool of casuals and, you know, that's going to be hard and we're going to have to find funding for that. If anything, it's been growing organically as well. And at the moment, we're just making sure that we're kind of equipping those people as well so that they've got just a little bit of, you know, we're talking about mental health first aid training for them and those sorts of things so that they're supported also. But, you know, we're really getting a lot of interest from people from everywhere who just want to be part of this, and they have as much fun as the crew. You know, it's not, nobody seems to see it as work. They just come in and have a blast, which is great. So important.
Yes. And why wouldn't they? What a fantastic experience to go and, you know, meet some other people with diverse needs and talents too, and learn a lot of things. I just love that. So what have you got coming up next, Hayley? What's next on the gatherings?
Well, with the gatherings, we're still finalising some dates for our next series of events, but we're actually partnering with the local partner in the community to deliver some events that are coming soon. So we can't talk too much about that, obviously, but there is a launch event and some series of social events that are coming up in partnership with Feros Care. Ros and I have every intention of sort of continuing this progress that the momentum that we've created. And like Ros was saying, we're getting interest from people that are, I might possibly on the spectrum, or I'm autistic myself. Is there any way that I can get involved? So we're really in the foundational phase of just ensuring that we have the systems and services and things set up so that we can support that natural organic development. We seek to obviously have monthly social events for the foreseeable future for our young people, as we have done for the last 12 months. And we're also starting to look into the space of some virtual engagement and online engagement for our young people, as well as their parents and carers. So lots of exciting things coming, and we're just supporting.
Can I just add to that as well? Because Haley and I only had this conversation about 2 hours ago. We're very conscious of us not running it as well. Like I know that we need to be the scaffolding around it, but at the end of the day, we call them the crew. The crew know what they want. So we've put together a little like advisory group. We're calling them a leadership team, because I think that's part of their growth as well is, hey, you guys tell us what you want to do, because, I'm a middle-aged woman. Do I really understand what a 21-year-old wants to be doing? So you tell us what you'd like to do. And some of their ideas are brilliant. Some of them we do have to go away and go, all right, we need to think about that, because I guess we need to make sure that there's a safe base. There's a safety base in everything. But, they want us to go down the coast for the day. They want us to do all sorts of fabulous and wonderful things. Let's go away for a weekend, which, obviously is going to require a whole lot of thought. But everything they've put in front of us, we go, again, yep, that's what I was doing when I was 21. Yeah. And maybe, it's even a case of they might want to go out to a nightclub. So we just need to think about, all right, so what do we just need to do to make sure that from a sensory overload point of view, we've thought about that in advance. But we've been also talking about, well, hey, if we take, say, the young ladies out, there's a little bit of learning in there too about, let's all do hair and makeup before we go out. But let's have a bit of a chat also about somebody brings you a drink in a club or in a lounge or something like that. Why wouldn't you accept that? So we're trying to kind of build in a little bit of that. How do you be safe? Hanging with a safe group. We've got a facilitator in there that's sort of on your watch, but it's not your mum and dad.
Yeah, that's 100%. And this is what I'm loving, and all the stuff I've read about what you're doing. It's driven by the young people. Yes. And absolutely, we were all going down the coast and, dare I say, staying in a tent because we couldn't afford accommodation. And, that's all stuff. And think of all the learning, and you know what? I had some horrible trips down the coast that I'm like, never doing that again. But that's all part of it. Do you know?
Exactly.
It's all that growth and learning along the way. And also, I think for some of my young teens I've worked with over the years, they sometimes watch TV shows or hear from people and they imagine a night out is something very different to what it is, because the TV makes it look all fun and perfect. And, gosh, I've got mascara in my eyes more times than I can count, and they never show that.
No.
So what I love, they're actually getting to experience and work out if it's for them. And if you haven't experienced it, how do you know? You
don't. You don't.
No.
But also that's what inspired that, is it's that whole ethos of nothing about us without us. Like Ros and I, we're parents, we're adults ourselves, and we can't organise these events without their input. So we're looking at more that mentorship, that buddy type system where these young people are going to be telling us what they need and what they want, and we're supporting them to create those opportunities and connections.
And I love that, because you're going to have different people that come into the group that have different needs. And I think that's so important, that having the leadership group within the crew. And I love that, they're the crew. And then they can actually make some decisions, and different people will want to join for different things. I mean, my worry is you're going to get so big. Like, I'll be honest, I'm like, this is going to get big, because I can see A, such a need, but B, the way you're growing it makes so much sense. And there'll be so many people who want to be part of it, because why wouldn't you? So,
great problem to have, though, I think, too.
That's what I say. I say that to my family all the time when I'm really busy, because, this is really my heart project. I go, oh, aren't I lucky? Aren't I lucky that I have, so many people that want to listen or want some help along the way. So I love that. Well,
absolutely.
Ladies, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time.
Thank you, Sue. This has been our absolute honour and pleasure.
Oh, you're too kind. I will link to all of the things in the blog and podcast, but I'm just worried you're going to get inundated with requests. So
We're ready. We're ready.
You
We're
ready?
excited.
Bring it on. Okay.
Yes.
But at this stage, you just want Canberra people, or you want to hear from it wider?
I think we're happy to talk to other communities. We kind of get that there's just Hayley and I at this point, and a dedicated sort of crew that sits around us. But we're very happy to talk to other communities because I think this is something that can be replicated.
Yep.
So,
we are actually discussing that. We have had some interest from other service delivery areas, people in other communities that want to, I suppose, do what we're doing. And that's really important to Ros and I, that we create the foundations now so that can be. We actually do see this as something that could be sustainable. It could be something that could be delivered in other areas. So we really want to make sure that we're working like with our small cohort at the moment to make sure those foundations are laid, but absolutely ready to take intake, field any questions that anybody might have about it, and anyone interested on coming on board can flick us an email as well, and we can add them to our networking list.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Go girls.
Great.
You mightn't be getting much sleep after this podcast.
Bless.
Hey, but we can be young again, Ros, and we can do an all-nighter,
but I'm not allowed to go. I'm not allowed to go, remember?
Yeah,
We
that's
don't
right.
need sleep as it is anyway, so that's
Yeah, I know, but my point is when we were young, we did all-nighters.
We
So
did.
you'll be all night
I'm ready.
replying to the email. So I think, I can see that. I think we'll put that on the list of things you can add to your
Excellent.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm just
Thank you,
absolute privilege to have you on to share your heart project, and I'm so excited for you,
Bless.
your crew, and everyone involved. So
Thank you, Sue. Really appreciate it.
I hope you've got some great tips and strategies to make a difference. Remember, strategies wear out, and not every strategy works for everybody. If you're ready to dive in deeper to more strategies and ideas to make a difference, I'd highly recommend you consider Dr. Tony Atwood or my online courses. For more information, visit my website www.suelarkey.com.au.